The book of Isaiah, chapter 5. Now I will sing to my well-beloved a song of my beloved touching his vineyard. My well-beloved has a vineyard in a very fruitful hill, and he fenced it in and gathered out the stones thereof, and planted it with the choicest vine, and built a tower in the midst of it, and also made a winepress therein. And he looked that it should bring forth grapes, and it brought forth wild grapes. And now, O inhabitants of Jerusalem and men of Judah, judge, I pray you, between me and my vineyard. What could have been done more to my vineyard that I have not done in it? Wherefore, when I looked that it should bring forth grapes, brought it forth wild grapes? When I made you chosen, or called you my chosen, that you choose another, Yahshua? Asked Yahuah. Now go to you, and I will tell you what I will do to my vineyard, to you, Yahshua. I will take away the hedge thereof, your protection, and it shall be eaten up, and broke down the wall, and I will break down the wall thereof, and it shall be trodden down by your enemies. And I will lay it to waste. It'll be a desolation. All of those promises I made, the land of milk and honey, will now be a land of darkness and sorrow. Verse 6. And I will lay it to waste, and it shall not be pruned, nor dug. But there shall come up briars and thorns. I will also command the clouds that they rain no more rain upon your land. So your blessings will be cut off because you chose to love another. For the vineyard of Yahuah Almighty is the house of Yahshua, and the men of Judah his pleasant plant, and he has looked for judgment, but behold oppression, for righteousness, but behold a cry. Woe unto them that journey house to house, that lay field to field, till there be no place. This is sin upon sin, evil upon evil, that they may be placed alone in the midst of the earth, without his glory, without Yahuwah's protection. Verse 9. In my ears, says Yahuah Almighty, of a truth many houses shall be desolate, even great and fair, without inhabitant. In other words, he's saying without respect of person, rich or poor, male, female, young or old. Yes, 10 acres of vineyard shall yield one bath, and the seed of a homer shall yield one elpeth. Woe unto them that rise up early in the morning, that they may follow strong drink, that continue until night, till wine inflames them. And the harp and the bow, the tabret, the pipe, and wine are all in their feast. But they regard not the work of Yahuwah, neither consider the operations of his hands, meaning his Torah and his leadership, his righteous leadership. So they ignore it. They rather party. They rather be a part of heathen festivities. They rather join up with these devils today on Shabbat for the 4th of July. And on and on and on. Say, this is why you don't see my strength in the land. You don't see my blessings in the things that you touch with your hands. This is why your children have gone astray, and why you are still, hundreds and thousands of years later, still the tail and not the head. He goes on to say, therefore my people are gone into captivity, because they have no knowledge, because they refuse to learn. And their honorable men are famished, tired, and their multitude dried up with thirst. Therefore hell has enlarged herself without and opened her mouth without measure. And their glory, and their multitude, and their arrogance, and he that rejoices shall descend into hell. And the mean man shall be brought down, and the mighty man shall be humbled, and the eyes of the lofty shall be humbled. This is your rebellious. This is your arrogance. These are those who would rather reject Yahuah's word and embrace the heathens' customs, traditions, and their books, including the New Testament. Therefore, but thus says Yahuah Almighty, but Yahuah Almighty shall be exalted in judgment, and Elohim that is holy shall be sanctified in his righteousness. Then shall the lambs feed after their manner, and the waste places of the fat ones shall strangers eat. Woe unto them that draw iniquity with the cause of their vanity, and sin, as it were, a cart rope, that say, let me make speed and hasten in his work, that they may see it. And let the counsel of the Holy One of Yahshua draw near and come, that we may know of it. It says, woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put the darkness before the light. Again, heathenistic ways, custom, traditions. Exactly what he told us not to do in Deuteronomy chapter 18, verse 14. But again, woe unto them that call evil good. These are all these individuals who have perverted Yahuah's word by coming in and doing their own version of it. Like King Saul told, don't do any of these things, Saul. Do all of these things. And Saul did as much as what he wanted to do, but the one or two things that mattered more to him, he put those things over what Yahuah prophet told him to do. Of course, we know that was Samuel. We know how that ended with Saul, and we know how that's going to end with many of you all. But let's continue on. Again, woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, attacking the righteous for the ancient ways of Yahuah, because they want to continue in the heathen customs, their traditions based off of their condition, versus unlearning what they have learned, repent, contrite, humble themselves, and be taught the righteous way of the Torah, not the righteous way of their own likings or desire. And again, perverting what is good for evil and calling what is evil or perverse because that's what they satisfy with, that's what they embrace, then that's the word of Yahuah to them. But that put the darkness for light and for the light for darkness, that put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter, everything in opposition. Just like the New Testament. The New Testament was created to challenge the Torah and to challenge the Tanakh. And that includes the book of Genesis and the book of Revelation. All of it was to call the Torah into question. All of it was to challenge the legitimacy of the Torah as it in relationship. Is it still in play? And those of us who know, we know the Torah was always, or it is always in play. We'll be judged by the Torah, not by, the New Testament or the Quran or the Book of the Dead or the Talmud or any other book out there. We'll be judged by the Torah and nothing but the Torah, regardless of what the perverted out there think. Verse 21, he said, woe unto them that are wise in their own eyes, the way that seemed right to a man, as Solomon said, that will lead to his or her destruction. Just because they feel like it's right, just because they want to do it, does not give them license to be, or does not give them approval by Yahuah to do it. They might get approval by men. They might get approved, by their pastors, their ministers, whoever they're following. Oh, it's okay. It's all love. These people y'all talking about are hateful. They'll say anything to turn that vineyard of sweet grapes to bitter grapes, to turn Yashrael into pagans and idolaters and selfish, fools, witches and warlocks. As Isaiah said earlier in chapter 1, stubborn fools. If you don't put a carrot in front of them, they're not going to move. In other words, if they're not incentivized or if they're concerned, they're not going to do it. And they don't care what Yahuah's Torah and Tanakh says. They'll just simply ignore it or spin it, pervert it, turn it upside down, inside out. And that is the majority of Yashrael and Judah. All 12 tribes equally guilty of it. All 12 tribes guilty of rebelling against Yahuah's righteous teachings by going their own way, going the way of Balaam, the witch. Regardless of what Yahuah told him, he looking over there at Balak and said, well, it's all about, giving me what I want. If you give me what I want, I'll do what you will. I'll do what you ask of me. That's the vast majority of you out there. And this is why he said the houses will be desolate in Isaiah chapter 6. There will not be a man to be found. Isaiah chapter 3. Hard to find a man who would want to be held accountable for this Torah and for this truth. You'd much rather be a drunkard. You'd much rather sit on his ass and let some other man do it alone. What I mean, someone else instead of partnering up with the righteous, he'd rather let the righteous go out there by themselves, alone. But it is prophesied. So let's continue on. Again, to verse 22. He says this. Matter of fact, let's pick it back to 21. He said, woe unto them that are wise in their own eyes. Again, there's a way that seems right to a man or a woman. And that's the way she would choose to do because it is her self-righteous way. Not Yahuah's way, because it's either Yahuah's way or it's your way. This is why I say, woe unto those who call good evil and evil good, light darkness and the darkness light. Sometimes you have to sit back and you have to step back and you have to meditate and reflect on Yahuah's word if you truly want to understand if you truly want to understand what it's saying, and you have to shine that light in your own face, not in someone else's face. You go take that light and you shine that light in your face. We call it looking in the mirror here. And you won't do it. Because if you do it in all sincerity, you're going to see the monster that you are. You're going to see the beast that you have become. And that's why they don't want to look at themselves, brothers. So they'd much rather project it and look at others. Or flip it. You don't have to do all that. Don't worry about what he says. He's just angry. He's just this. He's just that. Well, you can say all those things. That's okay. But you better remember, you're not the first one to criticize and rebel against Yahuah's prophet. You're right in the line with all the rest of them. As the book just said, hell has enlarged himself just for you, sister. Just for you, brother. It don't matter how you feel or what you think. That is the perversion of yourself. Yashrael, in being a part of the 12 tribes of Melanin, is not going to cause your soul not to burn in hell. He just said, the book said, Yahuah said, I've enlarged hell just for you. It wasn't always intended for you. It's what he was talking about in the first several verses. He said, no, I started it off, with a good vineyard. I had fenced it in with the angels. I had made it a land of milk and honey. But Yashrael chose to serve the strange gods. Yashrael chose to follow those who were in vanity. Yashrael chose to follow those who would cater to what their lusts and desires versus truth. Truth with the foundation of the ancient way. In other words, Yahuah's way. And so now, Yashrael is a bitter grape before Yahuah. The wall that was protecting Yashrael is no longer there anymore. And again, hell is expanded for Yashrael and Judah. And Yashrael and Judah still don't care to this very moment. Except for 1 out of 10. Again, as Isaiah reminded us in chapter 6, verse 13, say, only a 10. 1 out of a 10. Or in other words, 1 out of 100. 1 out of 10 or 1 out of 100 is still a 10. So when you look at that number, you realize the discipline that you would have to not be a part of the 9/10 that hell has been enlarged to consume. That in itself, again, should cause you to continue to put a flashlight in your own face. But demons don't want to see themselves. Demons, they look to project, their vitriol, their hatred, their bitter, their jealousness, their envy on others. What did Sirach say? He said, your enemies are going to hate to see you successful. Say it just destroys them. Talking to you, my brothers and sisters, to 110 righteous remember. He said it just kills them that you are doing well, that you have peace and you have safety and you have the blessing, you have the rain, as you can hear in the background, that who is still raining on us when he's causing a famine on them. He said in adversity, all your friends will run because they were fair weather friends. That's what we used to call them. When everything is bad, they are gone. When everything's good, they hang around, because they're busybodies. They want to see you quit. They want to see their curses take effect. This is why I said to my dear brothers and sisters that when you're dealing with heathens among you, when they text you, don't read it. When they email you, just block it. When they call you, block their number. Give them zero access to you. I mean, zero. Then those curses and that hatred and whatever they're looking for, it's just going to go right back to where it came from. The hell that's awaiting them, that resides in their hearts. Then don't forget it, and don't play around with it. And if you just want to test to see if what I'm saying to you is coming from Yahuah's word or his spirit into my ears out of my mouth, then read it and see how you're going to feel. But also recognize that Yahuah said what for the prophet, to cry aloud, spare not, tell all people to be careful about who you're interacting with. Call out the wicked, call out the hatred, call out the jealousy, call out the bitterness, call out those who are divisive, call out the pagan, call out the perversion, call out the abominable amongst Yashrael. That's exactly what Isaiah 58:1, and he told the prophet to do it. He said, I'm not going to do it, you do it, Isaiah. And they better listen. If they don't, that's fine. I got hell awaiting them. I just want them to be warned. I just want them to understand that they're their own worst enemy. Not me, meaning him, Yahuah. What did he tell Samuel and Moses? He said, they're going to attack both of you prophets. He said, but understand this. When they're attacking both of you, they're really attacking me. Because I'm the one who told you to go tell them. So they don't hate you as much as you think they do, Samuel. They don't hate you as much as you think they do, Moses. They don't hate you, DFG, as much as you think they do. No. They hate me because of what you are saying to them. And they hate you for saying it. But Yahuah says, my eyes, my ears, say, I search out the earth. And I know each one of them by their name, and I know each one of them for which where they live, and I know each one of them for where they hide. When he said, I'm going to burn them out of there. So I'm going to drop that fire on them. I'm going to smoke them out. And when they come out, they're going to be angry. So the righteous remnant among your people, Yahuah says to each and every one of us, just stand back. Separate yourself from them. How many of you guys recall what happened to our brethren in the wilderness when many of our people were being influenced by the rebel rousers, the so-called, appeasers in the book of Numbers, chapter 16, Nathan, Abiram, and Dotan. And you remember how they were causing, dissension within the people, amongst the people, because they didn't like what Moses was saying. So what they did, they started to create their own little groups, their own little meetings, their own little organizations, their own, in our case, channels, platforms, to entice all of those who were in rebellion against Moses. Because they didn't like what Moses was doing. They didn't like what Moses was saying. So they said, well, come over here. We'll cater to you. Just come on over here. You don't have to follow him. We got the anointing too. We're prophets just like him. We're royalty just like him. Hey, there's a Reubenite over here. There's a Levi over here. And then, of course, we're just as good as he is, if not better. And the word got back to Moses. Yahuah brought it to his attention. Say, now you go tell them tomorrow. You're going to find out who's right and who's wrong. And remember what happened, brothers and sisters? 250 of them. The ground opened up, or hell enlarged itself. Yahuah dropped them in that pit. And then what did he do, brothers and sisters? He dropped fire on top of them. Not only to those 3 men, but to their family and everyone who were in the midst of them. This is why Moses told them, you better step back. You all better get back. And Yahuah closed the earth upon them. Make sure he buried them alive in that fire. Which he's going to do again. But what was really even more shocking, I'm sure, to Moses? Just as to us, when we realize, wow, they still going to rebel, even though we're giving it to them in this world, even though there's evidence that Yahuah is among the righteous, there's still but thousands and thousands of them who were angry at Moses. Not for what Moses had done. They were angry at Moses because of what Yahuah had done. So who you think they were blaming? Moses or Yahuah? It was Moses who called them out. It was Moses who pointed out their wickedness. It was Moses who called out their envy and their jealousy, their arrogance, their pride. It was Moses who called it all out. So as we know, less than a day later, Yahuah had to rain a plague, deadly disease Because there were thousands of them who were in agreement, not with Moses and Aaron. No, they were in agreement with the content creator or the appeaser who looked like he could be somebody they would follow. Because they could see inside of him the weakness that allowed them to, align themselves or cleave unto him. Y'all heard me mention a couple of them just recently. We called them sneaking around in the dark liars. Lied to say they would not follow anyone, but where they would, well, I'm going to tell you straight, they would follow nothing but the DFG channel, what they said. And then we found them over there somewhere else. So they are liars. They never, came back and said, hey, we're going in a different direction, even though you reminded us that you can't follow two, you can't be of two opinions. Yahuah put, here's a prophet, here's a sign, here's covering, and both of these claim that they were being covered by the elder. But they were sneaking out the back because that's what they are. That's what they've always been. And they're not alone. There are many that way. And so when Yahuah pulls back the curtain on them, they go like a roach with a light pop on, an insect, some bug. It gets to, scurrying. They get to running. They get to, again, creating, chaos. Not stepping back and admitting that they lied and that they were wrong. No, they just hide. Or try to. But Yahuah said, I see you. And therefore, I'm going to make your life one complete hellhole. The same plagues that he put on those others, brothers and sisters, in that wilderness, those that I mentioned, and many others who are with that same mentality, the same perverted mentality, who rebel because they don't agree. Yahuah say, you're going to put them plagues on them. They have, I'm telling you, cancer coming, liver disease coming, lung disease coming, heart disease is coming, skin diseases are coming, baldness is coming if you're a female. Delusion. What did Moses say in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28? I think it's around verse 16, 17. He said, madness. They will become mad, like a madman or a mad woman. Insane they will be. Logic will be thrown right out of the door. They'll be like children again. They see a mouse, they run out the house. They're uncomfortable. They run here, run there. And lie like a rug when it's convenient. But Yahuah says, to me, as he said to Moses, stand back and you watch the glory of Yahuah, Moses. So you watch what I'm doing to them. Not what he's going to do, say, watch what I'm doing to them. And Yahuah does not change, brothers and sisters. So now he's telling us, watch what I'm going to do to this earth. You see these droughts that are going on right now. And by the way, Shabbat Shalom. But you see these droughts that are going on right now. I'll give you an example. Here in America, 185 million people are being affected by what they call historic heat. Dome is the word they use. A heat dome. Now, brothers and sisters, if you think man has the power to do that, then you need to get back into this book. When Yahuah says it's going to be a famine, brothers and sisters, when he said that there's going to be plagues and disease, without water, they can really have no, what they would call medicine, whether you getting it from the pharmaceutical chemical plants, because they need water, just like they need water to run all these data centers all over the world. For those of us who look for the natural healing or things that come from the earth, they killing that. Or they're not, Yahuah is killing them. Plant life need water. And so without plant life, that means people are going to be what? Unhealthy. And when they're unhealthy, what happens? Diseases start to spread. The book called it plagues. So no matter which way they try to turn, which way they try to run, they're going to be trapped. That's why he say, in that pit, it's going to broaden itself. So 185 million people right now in America are under what they call a historic heat dome. Almost, 2/3 of the United States. And the United States is a pretty big place. A lot bigger than Europe. Don't look at the maps, it's all distorted, it's lies. As someone said the other day, you could get from France to the United Kingdom in 3 hours, and you can't get from one end of the state of Texas to the other end in less than 10 hours. And that's one state of 50 states. But that's the distortion, the perversion of everything, to elevate Edom, the Amorite, because these are scorched earth liars and predators. That's why Yahuah told us not to interact or have any type of dealings with these people, with the rare exception from a bartering standpoint. And that's a rarity. And really, he didn't want us doing that because we had the ability before, when we were a graveyard that had not been spoiled, to produce, to provide, to sustain ourselves, totally independent of any other nation around us. That's why he said it was a good vineyard that turned into a bitter vineyard. And this is why the Song of Solomon says, what is the small foxes that spoil the vineyards? That's the Songs of Solomon, right? Chapter 2, verse 15. See, they go together. Yahuah said what? Because they allow these little wicked little, behaviors that they want to say that wasn't so bad, it's okay. Yahuah don't matter. That doesn't matter to Yahuah. He's way too busy to concern himself with who you marry. So you can marry a man if you're a man. You can marry a woman if you're a woman. You can marry, a heathen, someone that's not Israel, if you're Israel. This is what they told him. This is what they still tell them, because they accept them in the state that they're in, and they pacify their vanity by telling them, no, he don't know what he's talking about. No. He's just a madman. Well, if you mean mad like, that fire that Yahuah put inside of me, he said that will not be kindled until he judges this place, then yeah, I'm angry. Who wouldn't be when I see all the betrayal and treachery towards the Creator Yahuah? You have to, be totally disconnected, not to be angry about it. You have to be a simple-minded or a double-minded, self-hating fool, not to be angry about it. Especially when you have to live among the betrayal of your own, brothers and sisters. Their betrayal. And if that can't get you riled up, that means your soul has been stolen. Therefore, you don't even care anymore. You're just going to go on. They're just going to go on and do what they do. That's why he said a good grape had turned into a bitter grape. He said now what is evil, they embrace. And what is good, they hate. And therefore he says what? I'm going to create what? A famine upon the land. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use what's in my hands. Talking about Yahuah. So I'm going to scorch earth them. He said when I finish with them, that heat is going to give them strokes, heart attacks, lung disease, skin diseases. And I know most of y'all say, I'm glad I got all this melanin. Son, brother, your melanin is a shield before Yahuah, but it causes you vitamin D deficiency. So it works like an umbrella, but if you stay under the umbrella, you're not getting the light, so you're not going to be healthy. It's like staying inside most of your life. So therefore, plant life, where you find vitamin D, because we're vitamin D insufficient or deficient, better way to say it, we need plant life. But where there is a drought, you're not going to get any vitamin D. So where the sun might hit the non-melanated and, how you say, kill their flesh from the outside, a lack of vitamin D going to kill you from inside. So Yahuah got, like he said, I read earlier, Yahuah said, I got it all covered. He said, no matter what way they go, he said, I got them boxed in. Say, yeah, I had a shield around them, but they didn't want the shield. No, they wanted pleasure. But he said, what did they want to do? He said he wanted to wait. He said they were looking for mighty drink. They were looking for wine. They were looking for pleasure. They were looking for the strangers to bail them out. They wanted to be like the strangers, the heathen nations. So therefore, Yahuah said, okay, I'm going to give them up to their own lust. But he said, but it's going to cost them something, brothers and sisters. And it's going to cost you something if you are one of them. Yes, he said hell has gotten bigger. He said it's expanded itself, in particular for Yasharel, brothers and sisters. And you would think that would be enough for us to step back and say, how and what is necessary for me to restore myself before the Creator. But that's not what Yasharel is saying. Yasharel is saying, nah, I like it, I love it, I want more of it. And you will say, okay. See how long you're going to be boasting. Let's see how long your arrogance is going to be, woman designed. When I take away all of those things you need to keep yourself healthy. All of it. Yeah, you might use natural everything. You say, well, what happens when there is none of the natural things? You might eat healthy. Well, what happens when there's nothing to eat? So what, you going to fast for the rest of your life? You're going to starve to death with that mindset. Compared to your lack of knowledge, your body has to be replenished with food. And if you ain't getting the food from the earth, and you're not getting the food, from other places, what you go, you think your internal organs are going to dry up, and you're going to become the mad woman that you are. That's why Yahuah said, the people try to deceive him, brothers and sisters. He talked about that in the book of Isaiah. He said they think they can fast their way up. They can fast their way to him. It actually says that. And Yahuah said, no, you can't. See, that's not the fast I was asking for. See, the fast I was asking for from Yasharel was to concern himself with their brethren. It's right there, Isaiah 58. I was asking them to fast to break the chain from their brothers and their sisters. How to breaking what chain? By being a living example of what the ancient way is, and how to, to listen to the leadership that I gave them, listen to the prophet. And they said, oh, no, I'm just going to fast, and I'm going to keep on fasting, and I'm going to fast unto Yahuah. And Yahuah said clearly, I don't want that fast. He said, you try to justify the wicked for reward and take away the righteousness of the righteousness from him. But that's what verse 23 says here. They're trying to justify their wickedness by taking away from the righteous what Yahuah says that we must do. So you can fast all day. You can fast for 7 days. You can fast for 40 days. So they use that 40-day fast because they're following that Jesus foolishness. or religion, a non-sweet bread fast, a no sweet drink fast. You know how they do. A no movie fast. I ain't gonna watch TV for a week. That shit. That ain't the fast I want. I never asked you for a fast like that. That's pagan. That's rituals you're doing. Have you noticed it hadn't made you a better person? It just gave you justification to stay the way you are. That's what Yahuah has said. When you look at it, let's go over to Isaiah 58. We're gonna move around a little bit on this teaching, brothers and sisters. We're gonna follow Yahuah as I always do. As we teach, inform, and educate, #time. As we learn to go back to the ancient way, FAC. Family accountability equals out cultures based on our Torah, #fact. And I'm sure if you're following these teachings by now, you already know what Isaiah chapter 6 from chapter 6 from verse 10 through 13, what it already says. But if you don't, you might. It would be in your best interest to go over there and read it. And while you're reading it, how about not skipping for a change, daughters of Zion, what Isaiah chapter 3 says about you? You want to run over there to Proverbs 31 and claim that's you. And it isn't. What you really are is Isaiah chapter 3. 9 out of 10 of you. I'm talking about you Israelite women. And you men too. That's who you actually are. You're not a mighty man of valor. You're a show-off. You're pompous. You're a braggart. You don't care about your people. You have nothing to do with the people. You could care less about what happened to your brother. Otherwise, you wouldn't look the other way when they're getting slaughtered in the streets. You would chastise your children. In other words, you would put a rod to their ass rather than let them talk back and do whatever they want to do like they're grown adults and they're 4 or 5 years old. They're running the damn house, not you. And the book said that's what you do in Isaiah 3. It said your child would be your oppressor. You'd be afraid of your own children. So busy. I just want to make them happy. I just want to give them the things that I didn't have. What things did you not have? So you're so wounded that as a grown adult, you still talking about what happened to you when you were a child? So therefore, I'm going to pervert my child into becoming some little self-centered monster who think they're supposed to have something because they asked for it, or they want it, or they'll cry if they don't get it. That's piss-poor parenting. This book says you're supposed to train up a child in the way it shall go. That is Proverbs 22:6. This book tells you, you want to spoil your child, then you spare the rod when they're out of order. This book says you're supposed to put the Torah before your child, throughout the day. The Torah should be your children's textbook. Is that not what Deuteronomy said? Chapter 6. Say, teach the Torah to your children. Say, let it be like frontlets on their eyes. Spectacles, glasses. This is what you're supposed to be doing. But because of perverting, calling good evil and evil good, because you had some deprived childhood and things just didn't go the way you wanted. You didn't have the perfect parents, and you're going to be the perfect parent by perverting your children. So you couldn't get to the NBA, but you go get him to the NBA. You couldn't be the whore of all whores, so you're going to train her up to be a whore. Tell her, don't let no man control you. Do whatever you want to do. If he can have many women, you can have many men. Marry who you want to marry. And the question, is not getting asked, who approved of it? But then again, when you call good evil and evil good, I guess you can approve it. Because you're the face of those who are the enemies of Yahuah. Because you don't care what the word says. You only care about what you say. It only matters if it matters to you. So your fast, your refraining from things, your mascara. I'm not talking about makeup. I'm talking about you hiding that shield you want to project on everybody, that you're so knowledgeable. I overstand things. I've been studying for 30 years. I've been believing for 30 years. Well, then where's the blessings to back it up? Please don't tell me the house you have that you still have a mortgage on. Let's not go down that road. Or the car you drive that, can be repossessed the first year you don't renew, your registration on it. Please don't tell me that. And don't tell me that, you don't care about things because you run from house to house. That just makes you a vagabond. It makes you unstable. Oh, you give away things? Well, the heathens do that to their foundations all the time. You haven't noticed? They love to give away things to ease their conscience. So your fasting and all that pretending, let's see what Yahuah has to say about this. First, let's start at Isaiah chapter 58. And I'm not going away from this weather. I'm not going away from this famine. I'm telling you why this heat dome. And it's not just here in the United States, brothers and sisters. So don't get that twisted. So all you flag-loving heathens, that's what they're about. You take away the American flag, these damn white folk would choke on their own goddamn vomit. That's all they got going for them. I'm an American. That's it. Why you see their flags flying all over the place today. Flags in the yards, flag on the doorpost, flag on their cars, flags everywhere. But they say, thank God, in God we trust. Thank God for the red, white, and blue. But that God they're talking about is Baal. Just so you know, brothers and sisters. That Jesus revival, that's Baal, PR. In Israel, it's the saddest thing you ever want to see, brothers and sisters. You know what I'm saying? A fool that don't know their food. Psalms 14:1 says, let's read them. I'm coming back to Isaiah. This is really sad. Damned and don't even know they're damned. This is what David said. Psalms 14, chapter 1. He said, the fool that in his heart there is no Yahuah. They are corrupt. They have done abominable works. And there is none that does good. Talking about none of them who reject this Torah. None of them who embrace abominable behaviors. Again, it says they are corrupt. And they are corrupters, brothers and sisters. So if you know what's good for you, you better move away from them. You better put them out of the midst of you. And sometimes, Yahuah will remove them from you. So don't be trying to beg them back. Don't be trying to, shut the door so they can't leave. No. Open the door and take your foot and push them. Put your foot right on their ass and then push them out the door. Then maybe Yahuah will be, merciful to you. And he will just put give them a rebellious mind, a reprobate mind, and let a lying spirit get on them, and they will listen to the lying spirit, and then they'll leave on their own. See, that's how he was able to destroy King Ahab. He let a lying spirit come from him and tell Ahab, it's okay, go fight, you'll be fine, you won't die, it's okay, Yahuah knows you, you know Yahuah. After all, you from the tribe of Judah, man. What you talking about? You special. This is her and him. And they said for a prophet, but the prophet told him, you're going to die. They slapped him in the mouth and said, get out of here, Michael. I told you to say what all these other prophets are saying. He said, well, if I'm lying, then you will be back tomorrow. Ahab didn't come back. Prophet was right. But they did throw him into prison for standing up 10 toes down, 2 fists up, and bringing forth the truth. So being a prophet is not, a job where you go around appeasing the people. As a matter of fact, if you knew the scripture the way you should know the scripture, all the prophets were despised by the fools in Yahshua, who didn't know Yahuah, they just knew of Yahuah. Again, like Job, I heard about what you're hearing in my ears, but I did not see you with my eyes, because Yahuah said, because I blinded you because of your righteousness, Job. You were so concerned about your own family and those who agreed with you, you forgot about the rest of the people. And we know that to be a fact because Job and Jethro, the father of Zipporah, were counsel to the Pharaoh who was trying to come up with a plan to kill Moses if he ever showed up. Before he was even conceived in his mother's womb, these heathens were plotting against him. And Job was one of them. And because he said nothing, he had said it all. And this is for all of you who sit around and do nothing. Your doing nothing says everything that needs to be said about you. And just like Yahuah didn't forget him doing nothing when he could have stopped the madness against Yashrael, same thing he's going to deal with you for doing nothing to stop the madness in Yashrael. For not calling out abomination of behaviors that are going on in Yahshua. There are many things in this book that Yahuah doesn't. He said these are abominable behaviors. Having children with the enemy is an abomination before Yahuah. These are bastard children. I don't give a shit if you were married to their father or not. They're bastards before Yahuah. The Torah is clear that we are to intermarry with our own people. We're supposed to reproduce with our own people. And you should be covered by your own people. But Yashrael rather be a wild grape than a sweet grape. Therefore, Yahuah said, I'm going to tear the wall down. So I'm going to let your calamity, I'm going to let that fire fall on your head then. I'm going to curse you from head to toe. He said, what did Solomon say? The time will come since you so rebellious against the truth and the word of Yahuah, because you hate knowledge. You like to be the scorner, or you want to mock Yahuah's truth via his prophet? Because you want to follow simple-minded men and simple-minded women who are really being used by demon spirits to seduce you because of your own personal desire. Because they agree with what you want. Tell me that's not the truth about you. But you also, you try to masquerade again by appearing to be someone that you're not. You're a hider. And you're getting mad because, when we walk out of the darkness into the light and we are not hiding anything anymore, including exposing your abominable behaviors, you want to come back and try to attack us. You want to hit us in the head with garbage cans. That's a saying. In other words, you want to put your trash or empty your trash on us. But no, Yahuah said, no. But since you want to come with trash, Yahuah said, I'm coming back at you with a sword, with a knife. That's what these plagues are about. That's what this famine is about. This heat wave is about. These earthquakes are about. These heathens, wherever they are, and it doesn't matter what color your melanin is, are so consumed that they've forgotten all about the tens of thousands, mostly Edomites, who are buried alive in Venezuela. And yes, the devils did it. They created the earthquake. The devils, not demons. I'm talking about two-legged devils. You know, your governments, this government, and aligned with the other governments. And that includes China and Russia. Don't get it twisted. Iran, Israel, the Israeli, not the Israelites. They all are working together. See, if you were following this teaching, you will realize about, give or take, about 5.5 years ago, Russia was supposedly giving Venezuela all kind of weapons to defend Maduro. Well, what happened? In 5-year time, Maduro is in the United States while his country is being exploited and his countrymen are getting slaughtered. And who's ruling now in that country? Let me see. Is it a he or is it a she? Because Yahuah did give us a message in Isaiah chapter 3. You know that book that many of you sisters don't read. You righteous from design, you ain't going to read Isaiah chapter 3. Who's leading over there? It's in Isaiah chapter 3. A righteous ruler? It ain't a he. Come on, let's go back to the book of Isaiah. I'm going to go to 58. We ain't finished with the fast, and we're going to talk more about this heat and this judgment and the killing of everything that's about life. Look at the book of Isaiah says here. This is Isaiah chapter 3. Moreover, Yahuah says, so you can get in your feelings all you want, woman. Moreover, Yahuah says, because the daughters of Zion are haughty, means arrogant, high-minded, rebellious, stubborn, witches, and walk with stretched forward necks and one eyes, mincing as they go, busybodies, making noise with their feet, means causing confusion. But let's go back a couple of verses. I don't want you to miss this because I know you want to know. Hallelujah. I know you want to know this. Look at verse 12. He says, as for my people, this is Isaiah chapter 3. Now remember who's ruling in Venezuela. And they care more about the dogs that they rescued, not the thousands and thousands who are under all that concrete that you are buried alive. And most of them believed in the Mary Mother God or Jesus. They were Christians. Go look it up. Like I said all the time, you don't have to take my word for it. I already know the answer. Do you? Most of these South Americans, these Latinos, French, these are Catholics. These are Baal Jesus worshipers. The majority of them, Haitians, Christians. Venezuelans, Christians. Brazilians, Christians. Puerto Ricans, Christians. Trinidadians, Christians. Jamaicans, Christians. I'm telling you, look it up. Well, you got some of them that are over there doing that Rastafarian foolishness in Jamaica, but not the majority. They're from any of the diaspora, Dominicans, Christians. Baal worshipers. But look what it says here, brothers and sisters. And because they are Baal worshipers, Yahuah said, I'm going to remove all logic from their governments. I'm going to remove all, I'm going to remove that fence, that wall that Isaiah was talking about in chapter 5. Tell them that the small foxes now spoil the vineyard. These little things that they don't think matter. So Yahuah said, I'm going to make it matter more than they could have ever imagined. That was the Saul mentality. What would it hurt? A little leaven levels the whole lump, right? You know where that lie comes from. But then again, that's true. I'm going to just do this and show you who don't mind me, marrying the enemy. But he ain't my enemy. That's what he said? Or did he tell you to stay with your own people? Let me give you a couple of reference points. You read Jubilees chapter 30, 11 through 14. Read the book of Tobit chapter 4, start reading at verse 12 through 14. Read Joshua chapter 23, start reading about verses 11, 12, 13, 14. Read Deuteronomy chapter 7, start reading about verse 2 through 5. Read Nehemiah chapter 15. Nehemiah chapter 15. No, chapter 13, Nehemiah. When he told them when the Shabbat starts and when the Shabbat ends, and it got nothing to do with those damn moons. Not Yahuah Shabbat, maybe the one that men have, but not the one that Yahuah respects, not the one that the angels in heaven keep. The 7th-day Shabbat. The one that many of you are blowing off today because you want to be out there with the flag wavers. You want the fireworks. You want the hot dogs. You want to have your hamburgers, your turkey. I don't eat no pork, so you got your turkey. Your turkey burgers. Your chicken hot dogs. All abomination before Yahuah. All sacrifice to Baal. Don't you know that? Well, even if you knew it, you would still do it. So what that say about you in relationship to the Creator? The little small things, and you think it's okay because you say so, or some heathen in your ear telling you it's okay. Who know my heart? Yeah, you say your heart is like a filthy, bloody menstrual rag. Go read Isaiah 64:6 talks about that mentality. Well, Jeremiah brought it up too. 17 and what? 9. How deceitful and wicked you are. Especially when it comes down to the things of Yahuah. But look what it says. This is, again, back to the book of Isaiah chapter 3. Who's running Venezuela? He says, say unto you the righteous, that it may be well with him. For they eat the fruit of their own doing. These are liars. It's okay to do whatever you want to do. Yahuah knows your heart. He says, woe unto you, wicked, and it shall be ill with him. For the reward of his hands he shall be given. He says, so the curse that you curse with, he said, that curse is, guess what, is put upon you by Yahuah. This fire, this heat that you're dealing with, brothers and sisters, it got nothing to do with no global warming, nothing but ice cap, nothing to do with no ice caps melting, nothing about Antarctica, melting into. All these are lying, witchcraft, sorcerous deception, because they don't want you to see Yahuah's judgment. But you're going to see it anyway. Ultimately, they're going to have to, surrender. Their lies, I'm talking about. Yahuah going to expose them. All the lies, all of their witchcraft, all of their sorcery. So if any of you are being seduced by it, woe unto you. You are going to regret the day you were born. You got to come out of that while you can. There's a thing called repentance. There's a thing that's called contrition. Contrition means you do the work to show that your wickedness, you were offended by your own wickedness, and therefore you're going to deal with your wickedness by penalizing yourself or penalized by Yahuah's righteous prophet who will judge you and tell you what the penance is. And you will do it. Just like Yahuah told Moses what the penance was for Miriam, for running her mouth against Moses, because she didn't agree with Moses. Thought he was, being, judgmental. Thought he was being, double-minded. Thought he was, better than her. Well, he was. And Yahuah told her, you don't judge him, I judge him. But he does judge you. And by the way, you thrown out the camp for 7 days. And if it wasn't for him, you'd be out the camp forever. The same one you spitting your hatred on. Because Moses pleaded for Yahuah, pleaded for Miriam before Yahuah said, don't do it, Yahuah. Oh, she's my sister. And, she just always had, this bad habit of speaking when nobody asked her any goddamn thing. Yahuah said, Moses, back down. I won't throw her out forever. But she's going to get penalized twice. She's getting out the camp for 7 days. Because he disrespected her father, he would have spit in her face. You can read about this, by the way, in Numbers chapter 12. He said, she's going to be out here for 7 days. And then guess what else? She ain't getting into the promised land. Now, it was long before Moses had violated. Moses violated later, him and Aaron. But Miriam was done the minute she opened her mouth against the prophet. So keep on talking, women of Zion, daughters of Zion. Keep on running your mouth. Like I was saying, don't let your ass write a check. Don't write a check that your ass can't cash. Again, don't write a check that your ass. You're doing all this talking, but you better understand there's gonna be recompense for what you're saying, especially when you're saying it against Yahuah's prophet. You don't know what you think you know. That's an assumption on your part. They were looking at Moses. Well, what are you doing marrying an Egyptian? Or maybe the woman was from Egypt, but Israelite. Maybe they got it wrong. And yet he did have other wives. And no, Yahuah didn't curse him because of it. As a matter of fact, he cursed those who challenged it. But see, these are the hidden things that you will never see, because Yahuah said he won't reveal it to you because your hearts are dark. But he'll reveal it to the prophet. But it says here, verse 12, as for my people, talking about Yashrael, Judah, children are your oppressors, and women rule over them. He says, this is a woe. This is not a blessing. This is exactly why Proverbs chapter 31:3 says, don't give your strength to a woman. Well, look at these women out here today, brothers and sisters. You tell me. Can any of you tell them anything that they disagree with and they, align themselves to what you said? Without some kind of huffing and puffing? Slamming doors? Making little mean mugging facial expressions? Getting up and walking out? Hardly a few can be corrected. But they're all boasting about how righteous they are and how wicked the truth is. It says right here, a people under judgment, their children will be their oppressors and women will rule over them. And then he says, O my people, they which lead you cause you to err and destroy the way of your path. Exactly again why Solomon said in Proverbs chapter 14:12, there's a way that seems right to a man. But exactly why, again, when you're trusting in Yahuah, you allow him to direct your path, not you. This is why Jeremiah chapter 6, verse 16 says that we were to turn back to the ancient way, not the old-timing way, no, the traditional custom way. But just as they did in every instance that I've mentioned, the people rebelled. They said, no, we don't want that. We want our onions. We want our leeks. We want to be able to do whatever we want to do. After all, you're not better than us, Moses. Who made you king and ruler over us, Moses? Is that not what was said to Moses in, again, Numbers chapter 16? And I only pulled this out, brothers and sisters, so you can have something to compare and contrast. See, again, when Hosea said the people are destroyed for a lack of the knowledge, this is the knowledge that I'm talking about. This is the knowledge that Yahuah is talking about. Again, I read it in, Isaiah chapter 5. It said the people with no understanding. And why don't they have understanding? Because they'd rather listen to themselves or listen to the heathens who would tell them to do what they will. Instead of telling them or rebuking them and said, no, this is not the ways of Yahuah. Your way is not his way. Your thoughts not his thoughts. So what you doing that? The moment that they get that kind of rebuke, they're out. They're gone, brothers and sisters. Woo. And all the kid there, the little cartoon character called Speedy Gonzalez. Whenever something was, coming up on his ass, it was dangerous, he would, pew, gone. But he says, Yahuah, stand up and plead. Yahuah stands up to plead and stands to judge this people. So who's running Venezuela? Exactly someone who Yahuah said should not. Said a woman is not to rule over the people. Now she's Venezuelan, I'm more likely a heathen, but a lot of them, have Israelite blood in them. But you'll know because they'll have some melanin, like the so-called light-skinned ones among us. But then you got the lily white ones who claim to be us. You're not Israel. At best, you're a righteous stranger. Which means you get to be a servant or a slave in the new heaven and new earth, depending on what Yahuah sees fit for you. But you don't get to wear the crown. You don't get to wear the royal robe. You don't get to sit amongst, Yahuah's elect. But at least that will be better for you than what's going to happen to the rest of your people. So before you get all puffy and angry, maybe you ought to try some humility for a change. But then you're a busybody. Like Luther said, giving love to anybody, just running around. But you have no love at all. Long ago sold out to the truth. Like Esau. Just take care of me and give me what I need and I'll stay. I'll try to fast my way out of it. Not going to work. Let's go back to Isaiah chapter 58. I just want to let you so-called rulers, woman power, your lesbian spirits, abominable spirits. Because Yahuah said the things I mentioned not to do. Mentioned the whole thing around who we marry and who we don't marry. About, following the ancient way. Not the heathen's custom, the heathen's tradition. Not offending Yahuah by celebrating their festivities, their ceremonies. But not hating Yahuah when you blow up his Torah for your own desire. That's going to come back to haunt them. And when he does, he's going to come with vengeance, brothers and sisters. What did Yahuah tell Moses, he said, vengeance is mine, and I'm not going to forget what you said and what you did. Including what you said to my prophet and what you did to my prophet. What did the psalmist tell us in Psalm 115, 105? Let's go over there real quick. And then we're going to come back to this fasting, and we got some more work to do. Hallelujah. We're going to go till Yahuah says stop. Who are those who want to learn the ways of Yahuah? Then stay focused. Sit down. As my mom used to say, stay a while. Hallelujah. So for all you, you know, busybodies who know everything, let me share you something with you. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 105, verse 8. Matter of fact, let's start at verse 5. This is Yahuah saying. Matter of fact, might as well start at verse 1. Oh, give thanks unto Yahuah. Call upon his name. Make known his deeds among the people. Make known his deeds among the people. Not the heathen ways. His way. The ancient way. Again, give thanks unto Yahuah. Call upon his name and make known his deeds among the people. Sing psalms unto him. Talk of all of his wonderful works. Glory you in his holy name, and let the heart of them rejoice that seek Yahuah. Seek Yahuah in his strength, and seek his face forevermore. Remember his marvelous works that he has done, his wonders and the judgments of his mouth. O you seed of Abraham, his servant, you children of Jacob, his chosen. So all of you are saying, you know, Yahuah loves everybody. You're a lie. He said, he might give grace to the righteous stranger, but Yasharel is his chosen. Even though many of Yasharel, I must admit, have not chosen him. And that's demonstrated through their behavior towards the words of Yahuwah's mouth. What do you think the mouth of Yahuah is? When he says, listen to the words from my mouth, what do you think he's saying here, brothers and sisters? He's talking about from the prophet. He said, I'm going to speak through the prophet to you. Otherwise, you ain't respecting the words from his mouth. Again, remember the marvelous works that he has done, his wonders, and the judgments of his mouth. M-O-U-T-H, mouth. How you listening to his mouth, yet you running your mouth? Again, woe to them who call evil good and good evil. Yeah, your sin's going to find you out. Matter of fact, your sin is written down. What did Yahuah say to Jeremiah and to tell Yasharel, particularly Judas, that your sins have been written down with an iron pen and a diamond tip. So you're treacherous. Can't be trusted. So you're a double-minded, backsliding, heathen-loving demon. Or devil, better say it. That's exactly what he's talking about when he talks about the rebellious. Again, hell enlarged itself for them. So there were so many of them. Had to make room for them. Still making room for them. He ain't finished yet. Verse 6, he said, O you seed of Abraham, his servant, you children of Jacob, his chosen. Verse 7, he is Yahuah Almighty. His judgments are in all the earth. So when you see him judging all these things, these earthquakes, and there's a real big one coming. You can remember I said it. I'm not talking about one that's like in Venezuela. That's pretty big. 50-something thousand people potentially dead in less than a minute. That's pretty impressive. Or the one in Turkey a few years back, that was also 50-something thousand in a minute. That's pretty impressive. So Yahuah can get you just like that. While you running over there with your flag. Yay! I'm proud to be an American. At least I know I'm free. So stand up. Stand up. Fight for you and me. You had to go to hell. That's one hell of a fight. Or plight. Yeah, but that's a better way to say it. A hell of a plight for that fight. A whole lot of sacrifice, Brother Mendez. They just don't get it, do they? But we'll keep telling them. We'll keep warning them until he decides to stop. I'm talking about using the prophet to warn. Let's continue on. But he says what? Yahuah, his judgments are all. His judgments are in all the earth. So when you start to see, these heat domes that they're lying, that's Yahuah's judging this earth. You see these diseases now starting to come up from all type of places. I know many of you would love to think that some man is doing it in, in China somewhere. That's what they said about, or in Africa. I know you love to think, and then you're like, well, see, that's just man being evil. No, that's Yahuah's judging. And because, see, when you blame it on man, you feel like, well, if it's man doing it, then, see, brother, this is how this works. They do this, like, this little, go around or work around. So they're trying to work around Yahuah by saying man is causing this. Because see, if it's man that's causing this, get this, brothers and sisters. See, when they say man is causing this, it gives them the excuse to say, well, Yahuah is with me. Because see, Yahuah don't have anything to do with that. That's man doing this. See, that's the lie they want to believe. Because it's then that way they can project, themselves upon Yahuah's, court through their fasting and their praying and their relationship. Because after all, he knows their heart, so he's not going to let the enemy touch them. Brother, that is Yahuah's judgment. It ain't got nothing to do with no damn man. Man, wish he had the power to do something like that. Even the fallen don't have the power to do that. Yeah, they can do little clever things like, disturbances, upon the earth. Disturb the water. Disturb little things on the land. Cause chaos and mayhem on the earth. To the degree that, their sorcery works. But just like the sorcerers went up against Aaron and Moses, remember? Balaam's 2 sons. You read about that in Jasher chapter 80. Just like those sorcerers went up to Moses, they could do some of the things that Moses and Aaron were doing, but they could not do it all. They were limited to the things on earth. They were not limited to the things above the earth. I mean, they did not have, access, better said, to the things above the earth. They can only do their little magic tricks, just like they do in these churches, just like they've been doing. Come on, get a miracle. We'll lay hands on you. Or they do all that, all that magic you see. Yahuah's got a blessing. They don't say Yahuah, the Lord's got a blessing. They wouldn't dare say Yahuah. Well, they would, but Yahuah would strike their asses dead. Well, do you notice that most of these so-called Israelite, teachers and preachers, don't they look all dirty and muggy? I'm just saying, that Philip Anthony Michael, that dude looked like, they cloned their own character. All musty looking. Shoes untied. In a little dark place. Doing shit in the dark. You know what I'm saying? It's all black on. Nothing but a clone leading a bunch of clones. Look at Jake's crusty looking behind. Look at him. Just if you take back and just look at him, you'll see sickly. Body swole. I'm not talking about muscular swole. I'm talking about that's when they body look like that, brothers and sisters. Them dudes on high blood pressure medicine, all kinds. You'd be shocked with medication. A lot of them on steroids. Everything under the sun. You know they ain't healthy. Whenever time you see them, they're sitting on their asses, talking, running their mouths. Yeah, you got the fake, little snakes out there pretending like they're building something because they're out there, they got 10 houses. Living 30 years, and 30 years they were able to build 10 houses. That's not impressive. A contractor can do that shit in what, 2 days, 3 days? But they're boasting because they've been working on it for 30 days, 30 years. See, the simple-minded believe in anything. And that's why the Dows and all of them, the Richard Shepard Juniors, you know what I'm saying? Showing up at the Grammys and at the same time teaching, Hebrew Bible studies. You don't see the fixes in? Of course you don't. Because those are the ones you're going to cater to, because those are the ones that tell you what you want to hear. For the most, every now and then they get something right. Like I said, a broken clock is correct, twice a day? So every now and then they get something right. And that's all they have to do is get something right for the rebellious to follow. As long as they got something right. But they got everything else wrong. And it's the small foxes that spoil the vineyard. Again. Sweet grapes or wild grapes. The heads is down. Yahuah is destroying this earth. Not man, not the fallen. No. If the ice caps are melting, it's because Yahuah melted. If the sea is killing everything in it, it's because Yahuah has poisoned the water. If the land is barren and does not bring fruit anymore, it's because Yahuah has caused the famine on the land. If the plagues and diseases are running rampant throughout the earth, it's because Yahuah has put the plagues upon the earth. See, again, Yahuah judgment is in all the earth. So what does that mean, brothers and sisters? There's no turning back. There is no turning back. There's no making something great again. So you can waste all your time all you want talking about your child. You want your child to have a better life than you. That ain't happening. I guess that's why you appease them by giving them toys and tablets and letting them sit down all day watching cartoons or whatever the hell, you're not doing as a parent. True parenting comes with accountability, discipline, structure. Not creating little mini me's and mini you's. Austin Powers, remember that thing? Mike Myers. Foolishness. The many me's, many hens, many you's. That's not raising a child. Trying to live your dream through a child is not raising a child. Makes you childish. Adults are supposed to be about the business of raising their children, teaching their children the ways of the Creator. What Ecclesiastes chapter 12:1 say, remember the Creator in thy youth when your days are young before the evil days come. Most of these children are occupied with everything but Yahuah. So what you think they're going to turn to as they get older? Yahuah? No, they're going to turn to this world, to this abominable heathenistic societies that they live in. And no, the devils ain't to blame. Satan ain't to blame. You the damn blame. How about taking some personal accountability for your behavior? But most of you won't. You told me to tell you that you wouldn't. So I'm telling you. We'll keep on keeping on. Trying to make the best of a bad situation, and it ain't going to work. It's going to get much worse. You're putting money in bags with holes in it. Your child ain't going to have no better life on an earth that's being judged by Yahuah. I'll say it again. Your child is not going to have a better future than an earth that's being judged by the Creator. And whatever a spiritual demon that's telling you counterwise, you better learn how to rebuke that thought. Instead of getting mad with the teachings here. Or this prophet who's warning you as I'm instructed to. But look what verse 8 says. He has remembered his covenant forever, and the word which he commanded to 1,000 generations. So Yahuah said, nah, this is going to happen. This covenant I made with the chosen, they're going to stay my chosen. Only a few of them are going to be redeemed, but they still going to be my chosen. No, I didn't say the whole world. I didn't say I love the whole world. That's John said that lie. The heathens wrote that book. They used Genesis to justify the book of John, to bring Jesus into fruition. Or Baal or Yahushua or Yahuah, whatever name they call him. They all make it up the name just like they made up our name. First you're black, then you're African American, then you're Negro, then you're a nigger, then you're a coon, then you black, now you Israel. Just saying. Constantly changing the name. Yeah, Israel's always been Israel, even though Israel didn't know who the hell they were. Until now, as Daniel said, the wise wouldn't know. He would wake us up. He'd give us eyes to see and a heart, you know what I'm saying, to obey. Some of us. The world knows your name now, and they coming for you. And Yahuah said, I took my hedge from around you, so you're not safe anymore to be Israel. And you can't hide from it. How you like him now? Then 9/10 of you are going to go straight to hell. How you like him now? Will you shake your fist at him like you shake your fist at anyone that you don't like telling you the truth, even though you're guilty of what you're being accused of? That's called rebellion. In case you didn't know. But again, when women rule over you, you will never know. She'll just cover it all over. She'll try to charm her way in or out. Verse 9, he said, which covenant, I'm reading it, the book of Psalms 105, verse 9, said, which covenant he cut with Abraham and his oath with Isaac, and confirmed the same unto Jacob for a law, and to Yasharel for an everlasting covenant. I mean, we Israel forever. Always have been, but it was hidden from us and the Confederate nations against us. That's what Psalms 83 is talking about. That they were confederate against us, brothers. This is what, so that the name of Yasharel, or it were hiding us from ourselves by giving us these many, many names. Joseph, many, many colors. It causes what? Confusion. It causes hatred. That's why his brothers despised him for that coat. Because that coat gave him authority. That coat said that he was selected, he was chosen. Jacob gave Joseph the coat. Who is Jacob? The chosen father of Yasharel. And he was resented by other Yasharites because they didn't have the calling that Joseph had. Although salvation was in Joseph. For Yasharel, remember when they went, the famine was all over the land? Who did they have to go to? They had to go to Joseph for food. Who brought life back to them when everyone else was dying? It was Joseph. When Yahuah was judging Egypt, it was Joseph who led us to the safe place or the hedge place, Goshen. You get it? Yahuah don't change. It's symbolic, but it's true. It's metaphoric, but it's an actuality. The last time you heard someone teach you what I just said. So all these different names are just a reflection that we are chosen people, brothers and sisters. But still we being hateful. We rather, line ourselves up with a heart of bitterness and jealousy and envy of Yahuah's chosen among us, rather than to defer to him. But ultimately, they had to. And things got really bad, they did. And it's going to get really bad. And many of you will remember, like Ezekiel said, you'll know that there was a prophet among you. And yeah, he said, you gonna know it. You'll regret not listening. Ezekiel 33 and 33. Let's continue on here. Verse 11, saying unto you will I give the land of Canaan, and the lot of your inheritance. He said, and when they were but a few men in number, yes, very few, the strangers were in our land now. Especially in so-called America, North America in particular, the land of milk and honey. For all of you thinking that somehow Mesopotamia or the so-called land of what you call Jerusalem is in the so-called West Asia, who the heathens call the Middle East, that's a flat-out lie. It's here. The Nile is here. The gopher wood that they used to build the ark is only grown in Florida. But you let these heathen, Baal prophets tell you something different. Why many of you were ignorant enough to go run to Africa and got your asses handed to you by them Canaanites and Hamites. Now you back over here, all quiet and shit. Shh. Made a fool out of you. But you were warned when you were over there. But you didn't want to hear that warning. You tried to entice others to follow you over there. But this prophet spoke against it. And most of our people who are with us in the DFG family listen to the prophet. We weren't made fools of by your arch enemies. Hamites, Canaanites, you kidding me? All the Egyptian gods, the ones who were enslaving us, putting our children in the walls, using our children for blood transfusion, mummifying our children, burying us alive. These were the Canaanites and the Hamites. Not the goddamn Esau, Edomites. Them fools were still up there in the cave. Walking on all fours. Didn't know how to stand up straight. Still don't know how to stand up straight. Hiding from the damn sun. Why you think most of them live in the northern hemisphere? But now they're getting hot up there too. You was judging them for their wickedness and judging many in Yashrael because you want to line yourself up with them because you just can't help love them because that's what John told you to do. God so loved the world, gave his only God's Son, whoever believe in him did not perish, everlasting life. Sounds like the nigger coon that they are, or the nigger clone that they are. Male and female, I might add. You miss me with that folly and that foolishness. You know what I'm saying? When you know better, you do better. I know better, and I'm damn sure going to do better. As they were saying, come hell or high water, brothers and sisters. You know that saying, come hell or high water, I'm going to get it done. You know what that's coming from? That's Isaiah chapter 43, brothers and sisters, verse 2. So when you go through the fire, I'll be with you. When you go through the flood, I'll be with you. Come hell or high water, I'm staying with Yahuah. Because Yahuah is with me. He's with the righteous one. Come hell or high water. But he said, no. Verse 12 again. He said, when there were but a few men in number, yes, very few, the strangers were in it. In our land. And they're still in it. Captives in our own land. He said, when they went from one nation to another, from one kingdom to another people, he suffered no man to do them wrong. Yes, he reproved the kings for their sake. No, you have got them for attacking us. He's getting them now for attacking us. That's why you see this whole earth is being judged. And as I mentioned a moment ago, the earthquake, they forgotten about it. They burning so bad here, they forgot all about the buried over there in Venezuela. But that's nothing compared to what's coming. Let me share this why it come to my mind. I'm going to come back to this. I had a dream, and I'm not the type of person, brothers and sisters, who run around dream. All I do is, no, I'm a working prophet. Anybody who knows me will tell you, elder gets up early and stays up late. I'm always searching out the ways of Yahuah, preparing to teach, inform, and educate the righteous remnant. That's all the time for me. I don't take days off. No matter where I am, I can show you my Torah, Tanakh is with me, and a heart to serve Yahuah is in my ear. On my mind is what I'm saying. In my little downtime, even then, it's quick and, and right back to work. That's called accountability. That's called personal accountability. It's called the chosen righteous remnant leadership mentality. But in this dream I had, I was down like in a prairie or flat land where you can, and I saw, you ever been somewhere where, if you've been out like in Colorado where the fire is out of control, no way again. Okay, nothing. But if you ever been to Colorado, the Rocky Mountains surround like places like Denver, Aurora, Colorado. I've been there. And what you can be in the city, but when you look out far, you see mountains, snow-capped mountains. You can see the ledge of the mountain ledge. Well, in this dream or vision, I'm standing in a place like that. It wasn't Colorado, but I don't know where it was, but the land was flat for which I was standing on, but I could see the mountain, terrain. And running across the mountain was a bunch of people, brother. They were men, women, and children. They were running. They were running across the top of the mountain, running. And I'm looking, I'm like, where they running from? Where they going? So I got quiet there so you could hear. I'm like, where are they going? And guess what I saw behind them? On the same terrain, a ledge that they were running across. I saw giants chasing them. Some of the giants would look like just human. They were naked, but human form. But they were at least 300 feet tall. Some of the giants had two heads. They had the human body, but they had a head, then they had a head on top of the head. Then other of them had like a head with a mouth that was elongated. Their mouth was bigger than all of their head. Like their mouth went from here to like here, and then this little part here was where their eyes and nose were. And I saw at least 9 or 10 of them. And they were tracking them down. They were chasing them down. They were terrified, horrified. Then I awakened from the dream. Now, whether that was a vision or reflection, I don't know. But I do know one thing. The giants did eat us. In particular, Yasharel. They still eat us. Some of y'all didn't know that. They want that melanin that's so valuable, that's part of our our skin. They want our organs because it strengthens their blood, their body. They drink our blood because it renews them. They take the stem cells from the aborted babies that many of you gave them. Because they lied to you and told you it would make your life better to kill your own child. No, they wanted that child's internal organs. They wanted his eyes. The baby's eyes is the same. Your eyes don't get bigger. So you take a baby that's 4 or 5 months old in the mother's womb, you can use those organs. And even if you took it, if it's 5 or 6 weeks, you can still use the stem cells. They know this stuff, brothers and sisters. You're food to them. These are the fallen children. They may not be giants like their forefathers, but they damn sure got the same appetite. And to them devils, nothing more delicious than an Israelite woman who don't have enough sense to know she ain't got no business being with them. Or an Israelite man who's running rampant all over these streets, shooting himself, letting himself get harmed and hurt, drinking himself to death, smoking himself to death, eating every kind of poisonous food he can stick in his mouth, dying long before his time. And you go right into that morgue, in the front door of the morgue, and right in boxes out of the back door of the morgue. You take everything out that body that they can use. Trust me. And I mean everything. Leave nothing but a shell and give it back to your folk if they're going to bury you or throw you in the incinerator if they're going to cremate you. So that was the dream and the vision. So maybe Yahuwah was showing me something that happened, or maybe he was showing me something that's going to happen. Time will tell. But they were horrified, and they were by them. They were running. The men were running, the women were running, and the children were running, and none of them were escaping. Whatever those giants were tracking them down, like a hunter, tracking down, its prey. And they were gaining on them. So they I'm sure the dream would have continued on. They would have captured them. I'm glad Yahuwah didn't let me see that. I don't want to see nobody getting eaten alive. Even though the book Jeremiah, chapter 15 says that, our people will be eaten alive by wild beasts and birds of prey. Dogs will be tearing their bodies apart. Then, of course, they will be getting, shot down like, deer. All because the hedge is down. All because our people, took, this chosen identity for granted. Wasted it. Now, instead of us being, inheritors of the land, we become those who are being exploited, victimized by those predators in the land. And they're using religion to do it. They use their government system to do it. They use the education system to do it. They use the medical institutions to do it. They use their media to do it. They use entertainment to do it. They use their financial institutions to do it. Oh yeah, and their militaries to keep you in check if you try to resist it. Martial law is coming. And I can assure you, no one will pity you, especially the stranger or the heathen nation that surrounds us. Again, like Psalms 83 says, the hidden ones, the chosen, to eliminate, to make sure our name is no more upon this earth. Scorched earth slaughter is coming. And Yahuwah says, I'm going to be the one who's bringing it. You can try to blame the white man or the yellow man or the brown man or the red man or the black man, using their terminologies. It's Yahuwah. He's judging it. When war comes, Yahuwah is behind the war. When famine comes, Yahuwah is behind the famine. When starvation comes, Yahuwah is behind the starvation. When debt and mayhem is everywhere, Yahuwah is behind it. When the women are being ravished, as the book said they would be, Yahuwah is behind it. He's behind all of it. So no man can stop it. That's what I'm trying to say to you, brothers and sisters. See, the deception is getting you to believe that man, has the power to do this stuff independent of the Creator. To some degree, yeah, like I said, Balaam's sons could do some of the things Moses and Aaron did, but they couldn't do everything. And the world soon found out that Yahuwah was supreme, and not their governments, not America, not China, not Russia, not Iran, not India, not South America, not Australia, any of the 7 nations. Y'all call them continents. None of them were actually in charge. These were puppet governments. And they're going to run underground where they think it's going to be safe real soon. Because whether it be the giants chasing you down that I just mentioned to you to eat you, or the fire burning you outside in, starvation inside out, animals slaughtering you all in the streets, your neighbors kicking in your doors. However it's come, I can assure you it's Yahuah behind it. Now you would think just with that knowledge would be enough for Yahshua to repent. When you agree, brothers and sisters, you would think they would just flat out say, you know what, let me stop this before it gets too far up the road. But let me turn back now. We already lost, but we're going to be farther. A much farther loss. I guess that's the only word I can take to go on. It's bad enough in situation. Why hang around and wait for it to get worse? It comes a point where common sense should kick in, brothers and sisters, and you just say, we should all say, you know what, I'm done. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to turn back. I'm repenting. I'm going back to Yahuah. I'm going back to the ancient way. I'm going to repent of rebelling against. Wait, let's not get there. Just give me a minute. We're going somewhere. Hallelujah. Picking back up, Psalms 105, verse 13. And when they went from one nation to another, from one kingdom to another, running here and there, that's why I say many times, brothers and sisters, all of these folks, you're running around there chasing everybody to get to somebody that's going to say what you want to say. And I'm telling you, you're in error. I know you don't think you are. You think that, again, the prophet is trying to tell you what to do. And guess what? That part you do have right. But what you have wrong is that you should be listening. It's my job to warn you that you're wrong. It's your responsibility to take heed to the warning or be dismissive of the warning. Yahuah said, I put before you life and death, right? Blessings and curses. You make your choices. You make your bed. You sleep in the bed that you made. So when this mayhem hits, don't blame Satan. Don't blame the devil. Try as you might, you can try to blame Yahuah, but that's not going to work. But if you were to blame him, you got it right. Because like I said, and like he said, he judged this whole earth. So that means everything that comes upon this earth from a judgment standpoint, that's Yahuah doing it, brothers and sisters. Not Satan, not some white man or yellow man, red man, black man, orange man. These are just, again, puppets that are put there to give you, to distract you, make you think that somehow another man is in control. He's not. It's a simulation. It appears it's nothing but deception. A simulate, as Sister Amira broke out for me once in the past. She said, it's a simulate, Elder. So yeah, you're right, my dear sister. That's exactly what it is. Witchcraft, Elder, Sister Angelina said. So yeah, you're right. It is witchcraft. Well, why don't you do something about it? See, witches ain't trying to stop being witches. That's why you would say they get stitches. And they're male and female witches. The abominable ones, the ones who hate the Creator. But they will never admit that. They say, oh, no, I don't. No, you're lying on me. Ain't nobody lying on you. Let's come on back up here, brothers. So picking back up at verse 14. He said, for no man to do them wrong, yet he reproved kings for our sakes, saying this, touch not my anointed, and this part, do my prophets no harm. Now, how many of our people you think living by that code? You want to talk about the G code, the gangster code? That's the G code right there. Touch not my anointed and do my prophets no. Who are the anointed? The righteous remnant, the elect of Yahshua. Who are the prophets? Obviously, shouldn't be too hard for you to figure out. Except you don't have eyes to see and ears to hear. Except you be a fool. Which Jeremiah said, 5:21, right? Chapter 5, verse 21 said, fool, can't see. Fool will refuse to hear. Solomon warned us about it too in the book of Proverbs chapter 1 verse 22. Down to 28, he said one day they're going to all regret that they should have listened. And as he said, when they get tired of being tired of Yahuwah's plagues and diseases and burning heat, they'll turn to repeat, but Yahuwah, and then they're going to ask Yahuwah to stop. And Yahuwah said, no, I'm going to laugh at you. He said, because when I tried to warn you, I sent the prophet to you, you would not hear them. I tried to warn you in these last days, these things would come. And now you want to, be repentant when all these bad things are coming upon you. That was prophesied or foretold to you that was going to happen. And now you're asking for me. And he says, I'm going to laugh in their faces. He literally says he's going to laugh at them in their day of calamity. Look up the word calamity. The word calamity is synonymous with the word desolation, destruction, horror, terror. Things that are so bad, it's called a calamity. Hopelessness. You see, when that day come, and it's coming, see, and then they're going to try to turn back to him, just like they did in the days of Noah, when Noah got up on that ark. Remember, we repent now, Noah, we believe, Noah, you were right, Noah. Noah said, nah, when you were doing all that other stuff, and I tried to warn you, and you ignored me, and now you want to come in, now you want to repent? He said, get out of here with that, it's too late. This damn thing is over with. That's what Noah told him. He said, this is over. Y'all gonna die today. Or you're gonna suffer before you die. 40 days. 40 nights. And it's about to get, like I was saying, very, 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 very scorched earth hot. This earth is dying. Real time, brothers and sisters. And it's not because, again, some kind of global warming or, whatever man want to tell you. Yeah, they're playing around with things as a distraction. But at the end of the day, this is Yahuwah's doings. That means there's no undoing it. So prepare yourself. That's what I say to you. You better get ready. Because a true change is about to come. And you ain't going to like it if you on the outside of that vineyard. If you're on the outside of Yahuwah's protected shield, you are not going to like what's coming, sister. Young and old alike, you are not going to like what's coming. And if you think what you see is bad now, give it a minute. There's an earthquake that's coming. I'll leave it right there. When it happens, you'll know it. And I'm not saying it because I know what the numbers are. At least how many zeros are part of it. Like 100 has 2 zeros, 1,000 has 3 zeros, 100,000 has 6 zeros, 5 zeros. I'm sorry, a million has 6 zeros behind it. I know the zeros behind it. And if Yahuwah says to say it, I will. But I'm just telling you, it's more than a few zeros. And it is coming. And those who are supposed to be taken out, you're going to find yourself in the wrong place at the right time. But again, verse 15, he says, touch not my anointed and do my prophets no harm. Moreover, he called for a famine upon the land. Yahuwah called for the famine. Again, he's judging this thing. He's why the food is drying up. He's why the healing medicine from the earth is soon to dry up. He's why these heathenistic, paganistic traditions or rituals are ramping up. He's the reason why your neighbor's going to kick your door in and ravage you, especially those of you who don't have a covering. And all the fasting and praying you can do is not going to stop what's coming. It's judgment. See, some of the people, are loopy, not thinking clearly, and they'll project what happened in with Nineveh with Jonah. Remember Jonah, in the book of Jonah, he was sent to go warn the people that Yahuwah was going to destroy the place, I think, in 48 hours? And, when he went there, the king got all the people to fast. This is what they're doing now with this whole Jesus revival thing. Got them all to fast and got them all to work up, and they fell out on their face and, pretended that they were sorry. Yahuah said, okay, y'all want to play? I'll play. I'll play along with you. I know what ultimately you're going to do. See, this is what these fake fasters do. They saw when the people in Nineveh fasted, Yahuah didn't judge them. But what they don't know is that Yahuah did judge them because they weren't sincere. They were doing it as a ritual. Ritual. Every 24 hours, that's a ritual. Every 7 days, that's a ritual. That's not a sacrifice to Yahuah. He said, I want your contrition. I want your repentance. I want your contrition. I want your obedience. That's what I want from you, not your ritual. But if you go read the book of Tobit, chapter 14, you'll realize Yahuah destroyed Nineveh. That little fast didn't save them. And your little fasting ain't going to save you. Unless you cut loose all of those things Yahuah told you to cut loose. And I mean 100% cut it loose. As the prophet has warned you. But you will rebel. And you'll regret the day of your rebellion. I'm talking to you, Yasharel. Both male and female. And just like Malachi said, except there be, Yahuah says, except that he would not totally change, all of Yasharel will be destroyed. But he said, like he said over in the book of Isaiah, a very small remnant of us will be spared. And the rest will be like Sodom and Gomorrah, fire. Why? Because the people were doing whatever they wanted to do. And they didn't care about the ways of Yahuah. They had perverted his ways, a place full of homosexuals, thieves, robbers, plunderers, whores and harlots, pagans, pedophiles. It's all in the book of Joshua what's going on there, just like it's going on all over this flat earth now. Women walking around, bodies exposed. Men walking around totally in a daze, oblivious to Yahuah, oblivious to what they're exposing themselves to, and their children. Think parenting is about giving a child something. No, parenting is about training a child up in the ways of Yahuah. And if you're not doing that, then you're not parenting, you're parroting. Parroting means copying what the heathens do. The illusion, well, I want my children to look like, I want to raise my children like Elon Musk raised his children. I want to raise my children, to be, like, I don't know, the Kardashians. Who says? Pick a name. Pick any name. But the one name they refuse to pick when they come down to raising their children is Yahuah's way. They don't want that name. Yahuah knows it. He sees it. Like the prophet told King Asa, Yahuah goes throughout the whole earth, man. He ain't going to miss what you're doing. Sister, he sees what you're up to. He sees what you're thinking. It's like your Santa Claus. Your God that you created to yourself. I know you don't believe in Christmas, but you got the Christmas idol. You got that Christian idolatry dialed down deep in your soul. It's all about shiny things and dingling things and giving things and taking things. You'll say, I don't want none of that stuff. I want you. The very thing you refuse to give. What he says, I want. And since you reject me, Yahuah says, now you're going to find out what vengeance looks like. He says, I'm a jealous Elohim. He says that, brother, so that's his word, not mine. He said, I am jealous, and I will take vengeance out for 3-4 generations you play with me. And since this is the last generation, ain't no other generation coming behind this one. So if you are not repenting and you haven't gotten your mind right, your heart right, I don't care if you're 10 years old or 75 years old. You're going to regret the day you were born. Hell, it might have been you on the mountain ridge that them damn demon was chasing, for all I know. There was male and women and children, men, women, and children up there. Yahuah is getting serious about this. They're going to bring a famine upon them. They're going to bring that scorched earth fire down here on them. That's how the famine, the thing about the earth dries up. There's not going to be any food. Earth dries up. That means all your waterways and everything in the water is going to die. Oceans are alive, brothers and sisters. That's not dead water. Dead water is the pond you dig in the backyard, some little creek. That's how you got circled off. But a river or moving water, things that go into the oceans, those things, that's alive. That's living water. It's not stale and stagnant. You will say, I'm going to kill the living water. So everything in it is going to dry up. Like remember in Egypt, he turned the water into blood. In other words, made it unsafe to drink. Well, see, that's why I buy bottled water. See, that's why you'll never get it. Because you still think that you can somehow or another outthink the Creator. I told you, it's judgment. You can have all the bottled water you can store up, and you still are going to die of thirst. You can have all the food stored up in your pantry and sealed up and tagged and labeled, and you still going to starve to death. You're going to just make the rodents get in there somehow or another. Remember what happened to the people in Egypt again in Joseph's day? Remember he told them how to prep the food? He said not only store it, but prep it the right way. They just prepped it the way they wanted to prep it. And then what happened? When the barren years came, they went and opened up their storerooms where you got all your stuff and found vermins in there. You know how sometimes you can go look up under the bed and you got a chauffeur and a rat or mouse is inside of that? See how it works? That was judgment. You blow on something, you will say, no, you're a rodent. You say you're a pest, you're a parasite. You're not righteous. Otherwise, that would not have happened. If there's nothing else, can you imagine, brother, you got a chauffeur. Now, some of y'all know Elder was given a gift by Brother Willoughby. Let me show it to you right quick. This was his gift to me. It's a chauffeur. Beautiful. It's an interest, you blow out of. You blow in this end. I can't do it well, so I'm not going to attempt to do that. And it comes out this. Can you imagine if you got a chauffeur and one day you wake up and there's mice in there? Would you think that would be a sign of Yahuah of a person being blessed or a sign of Yahuah of a person being cursed? I'm just asking. I know most of y'all said, shit, Elder, cursed. Well, they'll say, oh, no, I'm righteous. The lie you tell yourself is what makes them reprobate, brothers and sisters. But it is what it is. Joseph told them, how to do it. They didn't want to listen to Joseph. They did their own version of it. The prophet telling you what Yahuah is asking of you. You don't want to listen to this prophet. So guess what you're going to have to deal with? You want to do your own version of it, or you want to run to someone else who's going to, placate you? Then you'll regret it. Not today. In the future. But again, let's go back to verse 15. He says, saying, touch not mine and do my prophets no harm. Verse 16, moreover, he called for a famine upon the land. And he broke the whole staff of bread. I mean, there was hunger. There was no food. There was no way to get food. He goes on to say this, verse 17. And he sent a man before them, even Joseph, who was sold what? As a servant, whose feet were hurt with fetters. He was in prison, and he was laid in iron. And until the time that his word came, the word of Yahuah tried him. And the king sent and loosened him. Even the ruler of the people let him go free. The man with the coat of many colors was right. The dream he dreamed was true. The calling he was given was from Yahuah. And although his own brethren tried to stop Yahuah's plan, no one can stop Yahuah's plan for the righteous remnant. They plotted against him, did everything in their power to stop Yah's will for him. As the old saying, man plans and Yahuah laughs at their plan. Manifestation right there. You can plot against, he said the wicked plotted against the just. Which they do. But Yahuah is plotting against the wicked for plotting against us, the righteous remnant of the just of Yahuah. And since he sees it all, none of them getting away with it. Verse 20, and he made him Adonai of his house, or the head of his house, and the ruler of his substance, to bind his princes at his pledge, and to teach his senators wisdom. And Joshua also came to Egypt, and Jacob sojourned in the land of Ham. And he increased his people greatly, and he made them stronger than their enemies. And he turned their hearts he turned their heart to hate his people, to deal subtly with his servants. And he sent Moses, his servant, means Joseph got it right. The enemy came back in after Joseph died. And then Yahuah said, I'm going to send another prophet, Moses. And he sent Moses' servant and Aaron, with whom he had chosen. And they showed his signs among them and the wonders in the land of Ham. And he sent darkness, and he made it dark, and they rebelled they rebelled not against his word. And he turned their waters into blood, and he killed their fish. And their land brought forth frogs in abundance. You can read about all of this in the book of Joshua, chapter 80 and 81. And he spoke, and there came diverse sorts of flies and lice in their coasts. And he gave them hail for rain and flaming fire in their land. Heat dome. He gave them hail again for rain and flaming fire in their land. He smote their trees and also their fig trees, and he broke the trees of their coasts. And he spoke, and the locusts came, and the caterpillars, and they came without number. In other words, multitudes and multitudes. Diseases, pestilence. And he did eat up the herb in their land and devoured the fruit of their ground. And he smote also the firstborn in their land and the chief of all their strength. So all these kingdoms gonna fall, including America. So you can wave your flags and do whatever you want, heathens. Your day has come. It's not going to end well for you, Edomites, Hamites, Cushites. Oh yeah, wicked Israelites. Not going to end well for you. Rebellious Israelites. Hell has been enlarged for you. Verse 37, and he brought them forth also with silver and gold, and there was not one feeble among them from their tribes. When Yahuah brought us out of Egypt, while I was telling my brothers and sisters, need to get healthy. There was not one weak person when Yahuah took us from the hands or broke the yoke or broke us away from the enemies. And you can't be healthy thinking about it. You have to do it. And you have to do it righteously. And a part of your healing comes from righteous teachings, in case you did not know. Read Sirach 38. So there wasn't a feeble person among their tribes. And Joshua or Egypt was glad when they departed, for the fear of them fell upon them. And he spread a cloud of covering and fire to give us light in the night. And the people asked, and he brought quails and satisfied them with the bread of heaven. That's manna. And by the way, some I got asked yesterday by one of, very, well, anyway, in a conversation yesterday, it came up and said, well, what about, when it gets so hot, how is Yashrael going to stay cool, elder? I said, because Yahuah going to do the same thing he did when we were in the deserts, leaving, wherever we was. I don't know if it was the deserts of Nevada or the deserts of Arizona or the deserts of New Mexico, the Dakotas, wherever it was, Oklahoma, Texas. Yahuah had a cloud by day to keep us cool. So wherever we're going to be, they're going to be, it's going to be a cool breeze where we are. The rest is going to be scorched, but where we're going to be, it's going to be safe. Just like Yahuah don't change, brothers and sisters, so don't panic, don't worry about that part. Just be listening and stay attentive. Follow Yahuah's leadership, means his prophets. In this case, Aaron and Moses. In their case, Aaron and Moses. This case, myself and fill in the blank. As long as they're righteous, as long as they're anointed, they'll be there too. And he's warned them against it. Touch not my anointed and do my prophet no harm. But of course, Israel will do just the opposite. But Yahuah sees it all. He goes on to verse 41, and he opened the rock, and the waters gushed out. And they ran in the dry places, and it ran in the dry places, or they ran in dry places like a river, the water. So when the rest of the world is in a drought, brothers and sisters, we're going to have water. Yahuah going to create it. He might just take a grain cloud, Brother Willoughby, and put it right there over our heads. So you got enough to drink? When you say hallelujah, you say, okay, then we'll dry back up. Tomorrow, there'll be more. Y'all full? Hallelujah. Okay, tomorrow, there'll be more food. You don't have to worry about storing nothing up. I provide it. For remember this holy promise in Abraham his servant. And he brought forth his people with joy and his chosen with gladness. And he gave them the lands of the heathen, and they inherited the labor of the people. That means they're going to work for us. Those who made us prisoners, now their children are going to be our slaves. Their children are going to be our maid servants and men servants. Isaiah 14:1 talks about it, but right here it just talks about it. This is just a verification of what Isaiah was saying, brothers and sisters. Yahuah said, you made our sons and daughters your slaves. What did Joel chapter 3 say? Yahuah says, now I'm going to make your sons and daughters slaves, heathens. All the heathens, not just the non-melanated ones. Like I told you about that, the Hamites and the Cushites were the ones who sold us to the Edomites. There was no Africans selling Africans. There was Africans selling Israelites, just like there were no, Japanese in America in concentration camps. They were Americans who were of Japanese origins who were put in those concentration camps. Just so you have clarity there. So don't let anybody lie like that to you ever again. You correct there. You can use America and the Japanese for a perfect example. So in World War II, when America was at war with Japan, the Japanese Americans who had been in America for hundreds of years, if not longer, were put in prison camps because they were Japanese and they were considered the enemies of the so-called, American. Although many of them had been here longer than the Americans who had put them in the internment camps. We were enslaved by Africans and sold off by Africans. Africans didn't sell their own kind. I'm talking about Hamites, Cushites, Japites, even the Amorites, Elon Musk kind, South Africans. So don't let them tell that lie and get away with it anymore. Yahuah's words back you up. Why these teachings are important here, right here. It's why you're here. If you subscribe to this channel, that's why you subscribe. If you thumb up these messages, why you thumbing it up? You ain't thumbing it up because you loopy or goofy or bored. You're thumbing it up because you know it. The truth is getting taught here. 10 toes down, 2 fists up is what we call it. Again, verse 44, he gave them the lands of the heathen, hallelujah, and they inherited the labor of that people, whatever land so the captives, or the captive, those who are in captivity are going to put them in captivity. So guess what? The tail will become the head again. We will be in charge again. I'm sure we won't be as brutal and ruthless as those heathen demons were to us, but, I guess we'll have to see about that. Hallelujah. Verse 45, that they might what? Keep his statutes and guard his Torah. That they might what? Keep his statutes, which is his ordinances, and guard what? His Torah, brothers and sisters. Hallelujah. I think that's enough. You can read Isaiah 58 in your time. You'll find out that Yahuah don't care nothing about no fasting for the things these people are fasting for. So you fast for your brethren. And if that's too good for you, then he said you can keep that fast. It's nothing but another ritual that you do for yourself. And nothing to do with the kingdom, nothing to do with your salvation, nothing to do with Yah's blessings or grace. So that being said, brothers and sisters, again, I hope you take this message and plant it in your heart. Let it marinate there. Like David said, let meditate upon Yahuah's Torah day and night. Therefore, you'll be strong like a tree planted by rivers of water. Say your leaf will not wither, and whatever you do, Yahuah will bless it. But again, it comes with what? Condition. What's the condition? Be repentant. Be contrite. Be obedient. Be submissive. And learn the ways of Yahuah. Honor his prophet. Do his prophet no harm. If you want to be a learner of Yahuah, then you have to be obedient. You have to cut yourself from out of all of this darkness all over this earth. You have to be definitive with conviction of God, standing against what is evil. Not placating it, not in and out, not interchanging with it. You got to make your mind up. Mean what you say what you mean. You got to love Yahuah with all your heart, all your mind, and all your strength. And he's not going to accept anything less if you want to be blessed by him. He's an Elohim of recompense. You give, you pour into him, he pour back into you. You pour into his workings, he will bless your workings. You have nothing to fear. If your decisions are made based off of Yahuah's Torah and righteous teachings. So ask yourself the question. How much would you be willing to take for the bartering of your soul? How much would it take to buy you? Because if you're not keeping this Torah, you're a slave. What a price. And you're being bought. Sum up the message, share the message. Those of you who are supporting the work, praise Yahuah. Thank you for that. Continue to do so. Yahuah will give it back. Hallelujah. That being said, Shabbat Shalom to you.